Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a great morning. Today is Monday, August the 4th. It is the first Monday of the trading month in August, guys. We're coming out of summertime. Today we are working on Mindset Mondays with Cody Futures Trader. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Here's our disclaimer. The information provided in this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Trading futures and other financial instruments involves substantial risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor before making trading decisions. Alright guys, let me get my cam up. Good morning. How are we doing? I hope we're feeling alright. Today is a beautiful Monday and the best day to work on our mindset. Right? Let me get my camera off so you can see what we're going to break down today. Let me get this off the screen so you can actually read it. There it is. Today we're going to break down the 10 habits for trading with clarity and confidence. 2 major key points into being successful with trading, and that's what we all want to do. We all want to be successful with our trading ventures, and today I'm going to give you 10 steps on how to achieve that. Okay? Ten steps. Alright, let's break it down, y'all. Alright, 10 habits for trading with clarity and confidence. Your weekly reset ritual for focus, discipline, and performance. So these are things that I like to do to maintain my structure. Trading isn't just charts, it's psychology built. This presentation was built from Mark Douglas. He has a book entitled Trading in the Zone. It's a fantastic resource on getting your mental game prepped for how to trade in the marketplace with confidence and probabilities on our side. Okay. I also use ICT concepts. That's what gets me my edge in the marketplace, and it's important to define what that edge is for you. Okay, and he has some really good comments in there that I've put in this presentation. We have Rande Howell. He's really great for the psychology, right? And also another free resource on the YouTube. And Presley Swaggerty, he is in the Residual Earners podcast, and a real great resource to use to help build up your mindset. This is something that I use every Monday. For me personally, you can use this system whenever you need, just for a mental game reminder. Alright, we'll get started on habit number 1. So whenever you're looking and building a system, it's really important to stay sequential with numbers and things like that to help guide you in what your process is. And so the first habit, start with gratitude. You've got to be thankful for being able to be in front of the charts whenever you're in this side of it. A story that I like to remind myself is that I have a friend who had MS, and he was a trader. Lost the ability to move his hands, right? He couldn't hit the button. And so he worked out a system with a worker of his, knowing that he was going to lose the ability to move, and this worker would engage for him, but he would communicate by just blinking his eyes to get him in and out of the marketplace. It was pretty intense, and so for me, I remind myself of his story, because at the end of the day, movement is important, right? And we take for granted that simple gift, right? And so I like to be grateful and remind myself, I'm able to move my body freely. I can get up and walk away whenever I need to. And so just coming into the charts before opening them up and reminding yourself of what you're grateful for, is a huge game changer for you. And it also helps reduce your emotional reaction to the market, right? We don't want emotions in there. Habit 2 is accept the uncertainty as the game. Okay, so you're never 100% in any trade that you ever take, and you have to accept the fact that that is true, right? anything can happen. Mark Douglas. In his book, he breaks down how there was an older gentleman that's in charge of a fund and a younger gentleman who uses technical analysis and had everything worked up on these charts and was telling his boss man, like, hey, listen, this is what's going to happen in the marketplace. It's there. You see it. It's going to happen. And the man called out, and he said, I want to go opposite of what this younger man was saying. And he literally put in a big order, right, of the opposite direction, and basically disproved completely what that young gentleman was trying to go for. And it literally shook his world, because he said, well, the charts are gonna do this, right? Had a lot of ego built into it, and he was gung-ho about it being in one direction, not understanding that there is an uncertainty into the marketplace, and an order of large magnitude can come in and erase all of that. Okay? And so that probably triggered a big old sell-off, right? And whenever there's a big sell-off, it's hard for traction to get into one direction and the opposite, right? So what I'm trying to say is, he put in a big order that goes against what that young man said, and it disrupted and etch-a-sketch or erased all of what that man had built. And so he didn't accept the uncertainty, right? Your job is to find your edge and then execute your edge. Again, I use ICT concepts, and that has built a model within a constraint that I will follow to a T. And so that's my job, is to execute what I see as my edge, and then accepting I don't control what happens. Okay, that order can come in and knock me out of the marketplace, and you have to accept that uncertainty. Detach the need to be right. You don't have to be right to be profitable, because you can, number one, be right on the direction, get ticked out, and the market runs without you, right? So you have to detach your ego saying it has to go to this position. I mean, the chart's telling me it's going there. It has to go there. No, it doesn't. It can, matter of fact, it can stay and sit there and consolidate, right? So you want to follow your plan and not your ego. If your plan says that it's going to go up, then you execute on your plan and then wait for the outcome, whether it's positive or negative. If you hold and maintain your edge and your rules, that's what matters, okay? And losing is part of winning. Being right is a part of the process. Whenever you engage in the marketplace, when you make mistakes and you learn from those mistakes, and you boil down to, I will fight to make sure I don't continue to make these same mistakes over and over and over again. I will fight to make sure that I maintain the structure of, I will engage in the marketplace with these rules, and if I lose, that is something that I'm going to write down and make sure I don't try, and I will not make that mistake again. 9 times out of 10, when you're beginning, you will continue to make the same mistake, okay? And then you'll prove the insanity is in play, okay? And whenever that starts to pop up, you want to detach yourself from it and understand that losing is part of winning, right? When you're in school, you take a quiz, or you get assignments. The teacher sends you the information. You take a quiz. You get to practice that quiz a little bit, and then eventually you go into the test. In trading, there is no such thing as a test, right? We can guide off of, oh, I have this profit and this loss and da-da-da-da-da. I'm not a break-even trader. I'm a profitable trader, da-da-da. At the end of the day, that profit and loss doesn't make a difference, especially if you don't follow a plan. You have to follow a plan that's repeatable and gives you an edge. That way it's measurable, and then you'll start to break down. But it takes time. You've got to make mistakes. You've got to learn from those mistakes and then apply those mistakes, right? So just understand that losing is a 100% part of the process. I'm going to take a quick break. When I say a quick break, I mean a quick break. I'm back. Alright, predefine risk and accept it fully. What does that mean? Well, if I'm going to risk $100 today and I make a loss, or I have a loss, then I know that my next execution I'm going to lower my risk. Okay, and then if I lose a second time, then I'm going to lower that risk. So we go from 100 to 50 to 25. By that point, I've only risked $175. Okay, my reward on the flip side of that is greater than what I'm risking. I want it at least 1-to-1 minimum, and then I tried to capture on my first target. I want my money that I'm risking. I want that, and then I'm going to move my stop, especially in the conditions that we're in right now, right? So at the end of the day, predefine your risk, put in that marketplace. I risk $20 today to make $60 or lose $60, right? And so you gotta define what that risk is for you and what you can accept fully, and then let it pan out, right? And that's a powerful moment. If you can accept that, hitting your stop, that is a power move, right? Because over time, you'll get more experience and better at it, right? And then we're going to go into habit number 5, build a repeatable routine. That's kind of what we're doing here with talking about our habits of the Monday mindset. You've got to have a repeatable system. You've got to come in to your charts and know exactly what you're going to do. I'm going to do a top-down analysis from higher time frame down, and that's going to build my solid foundation. Right, and that's something that I can routinely do. Look for inefficiencies on the higher time frame and then work our way down and find where a good solid entrance is, right? But if it's not presenting and we're staying in high resistance conditions, probabilities slip off precipitously, right? So what you want to do is build a ritual, something that you do. For me, I come in and I remind myself, I am consistently professional. All is well, everything is working out for my highest good, and only good will come out of this situation, and I am safe. That reminds me immediately, I accept the risk, whether it works out in my favor or not, doesn't make a difference. I know I have a repeatable edge, and I'm going to hold myself with discipline, okay, and not engage in the market just because I want to make a trade. I'm going to hold myself accountable by sticking to my rules. And if I break those rules, that's okay. That's a moment that I get to learn and build from, and I'll write about it in my journal and say, okay, I broke my rules today. It's totally fine. We're going to do better tomorrow. Eventually, you're going to get results, whether they're positive or negative. That's what you have to do on your own to find that repeatable system, right? And being consistent, showing up daily, whether you engage or not, that's not your measuring stick. Okay. Let me see. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, from Residual Earner. That's a big one. So if I am engaging in the marketplace, right, I'm going to want to know why I'm engaging, what's bringing me into that engagement, and how to build from there, right? So you have to have a solid foundation in order to be able to go and stand on top of it. If it's not a solid foundation, it'll come crumbling down, right? And that's part of the situation. Is 90% of traders within the first 90 days lose 90% of their funds. And so in order to break through that mold, okay, what I had to do is remind myself, it is what it is. I'm not gonna lose more than I can gain. You know what I mean? Okay, so Habit number 6. Thank y'all for liking the stream. I appreciate that. Habit number 6, train calm under pressure. Whenever I step into this seat here, I'm always maintaining a calmness about it. I don't want to have high emotions, because if I come into the marketplace with high emotions every single time, high energy, mad, or whatever, that's not a sustainable mood, right? I want to come into the market so calm that my mind doesn't get distracted by emotions, right? This is Rande Howell. Fear hijacks the thinking brain. What does that mean? Well, we are descendants, right, of the cavemen. So the cavemen today, they were battling and fighting saber-toothed tigers and big animals, other tribes trying to get their own food supply. And today we don't have that type of situation, as far as, I mean, we're pretty comfortable, right? And so our fear brains are a lot different than what the caveman's brain was. With that, our brains don't process different, though. So whenever we're fearful, our subconscious takes over and we make good mistakes. Our subconscious brain doesn't take over. Our fear-based making crazy decisions pops up. And that's whenever the overtrading, fear of missing out, getting into trades that we shouldn't, and those type of things pop up. Okay, and so we've got to make sure whenever we get in front of the charts, we're staying calm. We're not heightened. We're not yapping about, oh, this is going up, boop, boop, boop. If we do that, we want to stay consistent, and if we do that, every time we come into the marketplace, we're going to have to maintain that type of order. And I'm going to tell you what, we're emotional creatures. If you're an emotional creature and you go into the marketplace with heightened emotions every single time, you've got to try and maintain that. And you don't know what emotion you're going to have tomorrow when you wake up. News can strike about personal things, and that hijacks your thinking brain. And you have to be aware of that when you're trying to engage in the marketplace to be successful. If there's a day that you're not feeling it, you have to be honest with yourself and say, yeah, today's just not a good day, I'm not feeling it. Maybe I'll watch the charts, but I'm not going to engage in the marketplace. That right there is your strength, and that's how you're going to beat the odds of 90-90-90. Okay? And there's no way around it. A thing that you can do, however, to combat the fact that your caveman brain may be taking over and fear might come in, you'll feel a physiological moment where your blood starts to release endorphins that aren't really working for you, right? In order to combat that, breath work, right? Rande Howell does a really good job about explaining this, and there are other free resources on how to do diaphragmatic breathing. So that's where you breathe in through your nose and you're working on really expanding your lower diaphragm. Not just your lungs, because you can do chest breath where you're breathing, where your chest expands, but you can also breathe deep from your stomach. That's a real full breath in comparison to doing just your chest breath. And once you start to develop how to do that for yourself, you'll see that you're going to calm yourself, your mental mindset, and your game on how you're going to engage really comes out in a benefit. And then also journaling, right? Journaling is how it's your one-stop shop to getting yourself right with the marketplace. And mindfulness is being clear on certain things, like I'm mindful that I have the ability to be on these charts whenever I want. I don't have to engage. I'm mindful of the fact that the market is uncertain, and I'm only going to want to engage whenever I have probabilities on my side with my edge. Okay? And get out the dang caveman brain, guys. All right, focus on process over outcome. This is kind of building that foundation, right? Judge yourself by execution, not results. Profit doesn't tell you you're a successful trader. If you didn't follow your rules and you just engaged and you won, no. You just got lucky. Okay? There are two options in trading futures: long or short. 50-50. Okay? It depends on how you process your stop loss and how you place your stop loss and your take profits. You could be greedy, expecting it to go up to the high and make a new all-time high today, but the market doesn't have to make a new all-time high. It can stay and chat around until 5 months from now. Okay? If we think past performance is not indicative of future performance, but if we use that historical data, this time last year we had a drop. It didn't take April drop from last year, or April low from last year, but we made a low on April. Guess what we did this year? Made a low in April. Then we came into all-time highs in July. What did we do this year? Came into all-time highs. And then August was a drop. So we're coming into the 4th of August right here, right now, and so we're seeing that gear turning of what's the market going to do this year. Because if it does drop, then we know that we're in alignment. If it doesn't and it just sticks around, we're in choppy conditions, and it's going to be harder to have probability on your side to be successful, right? And so these are just the little things that you have to understand. Your execution is what matters. How you engage into the marketplace. Am I doing the same thing every time I do go into the marketplace? Or do I make the same mistake every time, right? And these are the things that you're going to want to figure out on your own about yourself. Okay? Let the scoreboard follow your discipline. So, if you lost but you stuck to your rules, that's a win. Journal emotional triggers. This one's the hard one because you're really having to open into yourself and what you are doing. So your emotional triggers could be a plethora of things, right? I didn't have my coffee set up. I didn't have my clothes ready for the morning time. I went and got coffee and someone cut me off in traffic. You know, those are emotional triggers that can heighten your emotions, right? If you know that you're going to be emotionally impacted because you went and didn't set out your clothes and you didn't prepare for this day, then that would be a moment that you know, okay, so I'm probably going to get emotionally triggered. I'm not in the right game right now. So what do I need to do? Maybe not engage with the marketplace, you know what I mean? And it's okay. A lot of times people want to just go. But when you're aware of what those steps are, then you can make change for yourself and become a profitable, or at least break-even trader, which is better than being an unprofitable and part of the statistics, right? All right, so you got to learn your patterns and be really honest with yourself and break it down with your journal. That's what it takes. And even if it's just a video journal, that's a big deal. All right, visualize your ideal trading self. So for me, visualizing that I am a consistent professional. I am consistently professional. That's the word I'm trying to say, bud. That's something that I like to remind myself. I have it written on my whiteboard, and those words reflect to me what I want to see from my future self, and it starts today. I have to prove to myself that I'm going to be consistently professional. What is a consistent professional? A professional is someone that can come into the marketplace, extract money from there, and walk away. And that's my ultimate goal, is that I can prove to myself I can do this every single day, right? But I'm only going to engage when it suits me and my edge and my model. So you've got to identify that first, and then the results will come. It doesn't happen the other way around, right? It can. You can be successful, right? But at the end of the day, that's luck, right? And that gets into more of a gambling mindset. And we're not gamblers. We want edge on our side, right? And I want to be part of that house. So another thing I like to say is, I am the market maker. If I can align myself with how the market maker does, I'm going to be successful, okay? And it just takes time. You must become the trader you want to be before the market will reflect it. That's some strong words, ICT. And let me tell you, when you're reaching for a goal and you know how to align yourself to that and what that is for you, that's power, number one. And it's something to reach for too. And it's measurable. What's it gonna hurt? Alright guys, we're on our last habit. So reset weekly with intention. So this is something that you have to remind yourself constantly. Okay, it doesn't have to be just once a week. This is something, ooh, I got 53 coins today. Oh shit, I need to log in. Give me a second. So something that y'all don't know, not that anyone's in y'all, hey, not interested. Hey, I am not mad about it. I've got some coins staked. And got a big drop this morning, that's good. That is good. Good. Let me restart that. Okay, sorry guys, I was looking at my crypto that I'm looking at, and I just got a reward. I have a car plug-in that sends data over, and they send me coins every month. So anyway, so reset weekly, this is what I do. I literally do it daily though. You do it whatever you need. You can do it on a Sunday night before the market opens and then sit there and watch the market open. Label it, mark up your charts, and then, you know, reflect on all those 10 habits, right? Reread the list. And let me pull up the big habit so that y'all can see each one of them, and you can take a screenshot if you would like. So breaking it down really quick. Oh, let me move my big fat head. So these are the 10 habits for trading successfully, I would say. You want to have clarity and you want confidence while you're in the marketplace. It helps get you going, right? I like to start with being grateful that I'm able to do this any day, anytime, anywhere. And that I can move my body freely in order to hit that mouse, right? We were talking about the man with multiple sclerosis who blinks his eyes to make profit and make millions of dollars, right? I'm able to freely move, get up, walk, and talk. And this man literally has to blink his eyes to make his money. And I hold on to that and being grateful that my Heavenly Father allows for that, right? Accept the uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen and come into the marketplace. Detach from the need to be right. You don't have to be right to be profitable. You're going to make mistakes. You want to learn from those, right? Predefining risk. You've got to put in some stop losses, guys, and you want the profits to be and exceed what you're risking. So if I'm risking 20, I want at least $40. But I try for that 60, right? That's a 1 to 3. That's good odds. I can lose a couple times and get my money back regardless. Okay, that's how you play the long game. 5 is repeatable routine. You want to stay consistent. Okay, if I come into the marketplace and it's not providing my edge, I'm going to sit there and wait for that edge. If it doesn't present itself, guess what? I have my system in play to keep me in the marketplace for long term. It's a routine. I can do it over and over again. And if it doesn't present itself, guess what? I'm not in the market, babe. All right, the last 5, train calm under pressure. You don't want to maintain high intense, right? You want to maintain a calmness, that way it's repeatable, and you're not trying to maintain hype, okay? Yeah, that's fun and it's entertaining, but at the end of the day, I'm here for the long run. I'm going to be here longer by doing that, okay? Focus on process over outcome. Your process is everything, okay? It's that foundation that you build. You want to build a solid foundation so that it doesn't come crumbling. Journal your emotional triggers. You've got to know what makes you tick, okay? No one else can do that for you. You have to know what's going to make your situation heightened, and then avoid those triggers. Visualize your ideal trading self, right? Like I just was talking about this. So my ideal self is I am consistently professional. I do the same thing over and over again, and I'm holding myself accountable. And our last but not least, habit number 10, reset weekly with intention. When you can reset your mindset, and it doesn't have to be just once, it is repeatable. Weekly, daily, or hell, even each session, right? You define what that is for you, and no one else can. And that's the beauty of trading. This is a moment that you make for yourself, okay? And at the end of the day, no one else can do that for you. So you have to set up what that is. These 10 habits are there, and I will do this every Mindset Monday to remind you guys that these are the systems that I use to stay and keep myself in the marketplace, okay? And that's what we're here for. We're wanting to stay in the long run, and in order to do that, I follow these rules. If I deviate from those rules, I learn that I don't hold myself accountable, and it opens up the door for opportunities that I don't want to open, right? So I appreciate you liking the stream and being here. It really helps. And I look forward to Tuesday. Tomorrow is Tape Read It Tuesday, so we'll be sitting on the charts, reading out the pre-market, market open, and up to 11:30 Eastern time for our lunch, New York lunch, and for London close. So we will be back live at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. I appreciate y'all stopping by and supporting the page. I'll see you tomorrow.